Interesting. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you guys had a great Wednesday. Obviously today is Thursday. At least I think it is anyway. If someone can give me a sound check, that would be great. Please don't forget to check in. I still cannot figure out how to put the damn comments in the chat. It's kind of mind-blowing, or the chat on the screen. It's like the button has just disappeared. Maybe I need to do some research. Southern Tier Prepper, Tafel, thank you very much. All right, let's go in. What do we got here? Let's see. Tafel was first. Southern Tier Prepper, number 2. Jordan, you are the third. Then we got Beecher. Who else we got in here today? We got Tim. And there's like 9 more of you not checking in. So check in. You guys know the deal. Hit that like, subscribe button. It definitely helps. It draws more people in here. Debbie, good morning to you. As the YouTubers decide to check in. Over there on the Rumble side, we got CRGY247 here, but going back to work. We'll watch replay when I can. Have a great day. You too, bro. Or Broseph or Brosefina, whichever you are. But you are first. You got Hicktown Honey's number 2 over here, and Truth Speak Dad. I'm here. Laser says, good morning, LP. Good morning to everybody. Okay, so actually we've got a whole buttload of stupid news, but I have to warn you right now, I don't know what has happened in the last half an hour, but basically, if you can hear it in my voice, it's a little scratchy. It's something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I've already got 3 cough drops in me and I can still feel it. I'm almost afraid to drink any coffee because it washes the goo down or whatever it may be. So if you see a lot of me doing a lot of that, now you'll know exactly why. As far as the stupid news goes, let's start off with the funny stuff. This one actually comes off of off of X. It's titled "The Propaganda Press, Pennsaki and Stephen Colbert Edition." Apparently, they're pushing Pennsaki very hard right now. The left really wants you to listen to what this crazy-haired, freaky person thing wants you to say, and you do, and whatever. So he goes on to say, I don't know if you follow Western Lensman on X. I definitely would do it. He's very insightful, funny, but also kind of scary as well. 2 Biden DNC operatives discuss the balance of staying objective and helping to explain an issue with the fact that they are hyper-partisan propagandists. And this is apparently she went on the Colbert Show last night. Colbert labels Pennsaki as a journalist, quote, fingers activated, and Pennsaki lets Colbert know that he has an important job, quote, informing the public. Frightening to think that a large segment of public actually views these Democrat shills in this light. One accidental truth from the Colbert Show, quote, I'm a professional clown. Isn't that special? Thought I'd share that with you. That literally just came in over the old telephone. Let's see. It washes the goo down. Okay. What do we got here? We don't need this. This is printout from yesterday. Okay. So more serious, stupid news, guys. I hate to be the one to share this with you, but I'm now aware why all of my Canadian Patreons and Discord members have stopped speaking. So if you didn't know it, the title of this one is Canada to imprison anyone who has ever posted hate speech online. And that clearly goes with the definition of hate speech. Who defines it? Who gets to decide? The Trudeau regime has introduced an Orwellian new law called the Online Harms. I'm going to move this down over a little closer so my sound is a little better. It's really difficult to do the way it's set up. Has introduced an Orwellian new law called the Online Harms Bill C-63, which will give police the power to retroactively, that means go back in time, search the internet for hate speech violations and arrest offenders even if the offense occurred before the law existed. This new bill is aimed at safeguarding the masses from so-called hate speech. The real shocker in this bill is the alarming retroactive aspect. Essentially, whatever you've said in the past can now be weaponized against you by today's draconian standards. Historian David Morel-Blave has weighed in on the draconian law, labeling it outright mad. She points out that that's Morel. I said that person's name completely wrong. She points out how it literally spits in the face of all Western legal traditions, especially the one about only being punished if you infringed on a law that was valid at the time of committing a crime. Yeah, that's there's some issues. I think there's some issues with that. I was watching this funny little video today or yesterday about if you traveled back in time, you might want to be very careful because there were certain laws that you could easily find yourself in jail or dead. This reminds me of that, but it's going into the future. It's very dangerous. I also think that there's a very good chance that this could negatively affect Canada because, well, no one's going to want to go where they can't say what they want to say. I think they're going to, I think they're going to be exporting some Canadians pretty quickly. Shut up, phone. Is that important? It is. What is this? What is this? I'm sorry. What? It's an actual text. What is this junk? It's political crap. Anyway, all right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. West Virginia Pappy, good to see you. And Andy Pearson says no ex post facto laws. Sneaking in while in a meeting, you sneaky bastard. Jordan says, hi, what do we got here? Cool Colt showed up over on the Rumble side. Good to go. The next dumb thing to hear about is Borden's border policies, a heated debate. In a heated debate over Biden's administration's border policies, critics argue that the current approach has led to increased crime, disease, and security threats, while supporters highlight bipartisan efforts to address border security and accuse Republicans of obstructing progress. Get out of the way. As the discourse intensifies, both sides exchange barbs at a point and point fingers, with some even blaming President Biden for specific incidents and tragedies. Amidst the chaos, it's clear that finding a middle ground on the contentious issue remains a challenge. Yeah. So Truth Speak says, yeah, no. Yeah, so it's become an issue with his election. People know he's full of crap, and so now he's trying to do something to deflect. That's what this really comes down to. We're not really going to get into it. I think we talked about this yesterday a little bit, but that's for another show. We're sticking with the stupid news where I just read you some crazy stuff and don't really talk about it. This actually came up yesterday, and so there's people that are trying to apply democratic logic to it that makes no sense. So this is called the SAVE Act. If you guys didn't know about this, this happened live yesterday. The GOP's citizenship proof for federal elections, which they could actually there's actually a lot of common sense support for this act in both the House and the Senate. So the president might actually be forced to sign it. And if he doesn't, it will actually, basically would be showing his card. So let me explain it to you. In a move to safeguard the integrity of federal elections, the House GOP members led by Speaker Mike Johnson and Representative Chip Roy have introduced the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, also known as the SAVE Act, S-A-V-E. The bill aims to require proof of American citizenship for federal election registration. The announcement has sparked the live debate on social media, with the supporters lauding the measure as a common sense approach to election integrity, while critics question the basis of the claims and anticipate opposition from Democrats. Speaker Johnson has stated that a lot of illegals are voting in federal elections, but admitted that his claim lacks supporting data. The bill has garnered support from various conservative figures and organizations, with many expressing their backing for the SAVE Act as a necessary step to ensure that only American citizens can participate in the voting process. This is something I actually support, guys. You know, I'm never one for new laws. I don't really like those kind of things to happen. But this actually, a lot of these immigrants are, once they get processed, they're in the pipeline. So they have all these benefits that we absolutely hate as American citizens. Hate for them to have because they came here illegally. And while we try not to take the human factor out of it, the reality is that they're doing this stuff. I was actually watching stuff on the news this morning where they're learning from the protesters that basically show up. This is a hunger strike, and then complain 5 hours later that they're hungry and that no one's paying attention to them. And they want doctors to come check their pulse every 15 minutes. You know, is these list of requirements for us to be here, and we're not going anywhere. And it's all just a bunch of frickin', kids stomping their feet on the ground, wanting their mommy's attention while she's got better things to do, and so some of these immigrants are setting up tents everywhere, and they're like, well, we'll leave if you can find a better place for us to go, but we also want this, want the cops to stop watching us. We want naturally grown vegetables and fruits and from our native country to be sent to us. And I mean, it's just this ridiculous list of stuff that any American would if you said that to anybody in your government, they would like, whatever, dude, get a job, go to frickin' Walmart, pay your taxes, shut the hell up. So there's a double standard there. Now, unfortunately, that is something that is happening, and it's interesting, and it kind of segues into the next thing I'm going to talk about with one of the sponsors of Prep Stock, Augustin Farms, guys. And we talk about food as preppers. We need to talk about long-term food storage. I endorse Augustin Farms. Yes, I'm an affiliate. Yes, you can save money when you buy stuff. I'm going to tell you the trick right now. Okay. Well, in a second, let me go through my spiel real quick. Augustin Farms, they have a mission to help families. This is, I think if you talked about like the evolution of food and the number 10 cans, you would have someone put in the chat that the church that you can you can go buy, they have their own prepper number 10 cans. You can come in buy pallets of this stuff. Put it in the chat for me, guys. I know you guys know what it is. But then the next level is Augustin Farms. They have a mission, and it's to help families and communities achieve self-reliance through preparedness. It's that easy, Someone was, what was it? Matter of fact, I think it was, damn it, who was it? That freaking, the LDS, there you go. Matter of fact, I think it was, let me go through the chat. I think it was Jordan this morning. Jordan, what was that catchphrase that you said you liked so much when we were talking about that video that I posted yesterday, about the preppers in Kansas? What was it? prepare now so that you don't have to panic later? Or I can't remember. Put it in the chat for everybody to see for me. But Ogden Farms, they use only high quality ingredients, and their food is taste tested. You know, they have their own specific formulas, and they develop emergency foods that are delicious enough to enjoy every day. I actually do use Ogden Farms almost every day. I mean, you can't do it every day. I mean, there's no juicy steak that any prepper food company is kicking out that is going to taste like a ribeye. You know, and the thing is they're affordable, and their affordability and quality are central to their core values. I believe that. I use them, and I've stuck my name next to them. So yeah. Now, let's see here. George says, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I can't even throw a TM on that because somebody else heard it already, and it wasn't mine anyway. Let's see here. Jordan says, my side can opener has a hard time. Number 10 cans. Make sure you have an old school opener. Boom. Logic. Fact. Hashtag facts right there. Good to go. Let's see here. Yeah, and a lot of people also forget about the number 10 cans, whether it's Augustin Farm, LDS, or wherever you buy those large cans, that they think that their little electric can opener is good enough, but it's like, it's made for cans like this big, not cans this big. So, all right. So here's the trick, guys. If you order something from Augustin Farms, I've left a link in the description. Here's what you need to remember. You will save $10 on the purchase of anything, okay? But it's $10 per purchase. So if you go in and you buy like one can, okay, and say that can is like, I think eggs are like $34 or something, the powdered eggs. Go in and buy that one can, make it one purchase, use the code. And now that thing is only $10. A lot of people don't know that. And then go right back in and purchase another one in a separate purchase, and then use the code. You see what I'm saying? It's actually, no, there'd be $20. So it's a dramatic savings if you use the code correctly. So please do that. Also, I wanted to throw a shout out to one of our other supporters on Prep Stock, which is Spags from Spags Unfilters. A lot of people don't know that old Bobby Spags, he is now one of the creators of the Midwest Preparedness Project. And Bobby donated 2 of his Spags bags to give away at Prep Stock this year. I've looked through these. I actually have a video on it. Go back through my videos if you want to. I think I have them on both YouTube and Rumble. And take a look at that. The bag is just packed with stuff. It's like the starter kit for get home bags. And then you can add, and there's plenty of space in it too. And it is complete. I mean, it's even got one of those little bladders that you can drink your water through the hose and stuff like that, you know. But right now, Bobby is with the Midwest Preparedness Project, and it's currently going on right now, not a joke, in Lawrence, Kansas. So if you're in the area, look up Midwest Preparedness Project and go hang out with these guys. They're solid people. I've been trying to get out there for years, but just the cost. It's cost prohibitive because I'm just too far away, and I don't really want to drive for like 2 days to get to Kansas. I'm pretty much lazy on that. So Ian says, my P51 can opener has not failed me. Yes, and it won't as long as your thumbs still work. Let's see here. We're going to go ahead and switch off of this subject right here, and we're going to go ahead and jump on over. And I really wish I had like a button system to make this work a little bit better. We're going to go and jump right onto that. And so if you guys didn't hear about it, I need to make sure I have my comments on. China is suspected of a massive cyber attack on databases of the UK Armed Forces personnel. Now, this sounds pretty bad, and it is, but here's the thing. We're always talking about cyber attacks, cyber security. It always leads you to TikTok, China, which leads you to China. Hello. That's me. Yes, correct. Okay.
So I have a check here for, and I didn't know if I should send it to Iris or I know you asked me to call you.
Yeah, I will probably come over there in about an hour. All right. Thank you very much. Yep. Bye-bye. Is it live or is it Memorex? That's a great way to run a live stream. Take a live call. Unfortunately, I had to take that one. And the way my streaming software is set up, I can't just like push a button and it like throw you up on a, I got to do something screen. And it honestly didn't want to do that to you. But yeah, I've got to go someplace in an hour. So it's not a big deal. Hopefully you guys didn't mind about that. But if you were offended, suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares about your feelings. All right, so let's see here. So once again, China is suspected of a massive cyber attack on database of the UK Armed Forces personnel. A massive Chinese cyber attack targeted the UK's Ministry of Defense in a breach revealing the details of the Armed Forces personnel, according to the report. They weren't after secrets. They were after the people, the soldiers, sailors, Marines, guardsmen, whatever all their people in uniform. They were after all of their personal information. Who might be doing such nefarious things? Yeah. The attack, believed to have been done 2 or 3 times, was a third-party payroll system, including the details of tens of thousands of British armed forces and veterans. The Ministry of Defense is using a third-party pay system. Is that absolutely ridiculous? The Ministry of Defense has been working over the last 3 days to understand the scale of the hack. After it was recently discovered, Sky News reported, the Ministry of Defense was approached for comment. It is not believed any data was taken, and the Ministry of Defense urged service people not to be concerned for their safety. MPs, which is it's like they're members of Congress, they're representatives, will be told about the attack on Tuesday. That makes no sense. Some of these writers are not very good. It comes after Chinese state affiliate actors were blamed by the government for 2 miscellaneous cyber attack campaigns in the UK between 2011 and 2022. In March, Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden told the House of Commons 2 individuals and a company linked to the Chinese state had been sanctioned over attacks on the Electoral Commission. The same company also carried out a reconnaissance activity against the UK Parliament accounts in a separate campaign in 2021. Let's see here. Mr. Dowden told MPs that the UK was putting sanctions on 2 people and a company associated with the cyber group APT31, which is linked to the Chinese Ministry of State Security. At the time, a spokesman from the Chinese embassy in London said the so-called cyber attacks by China against the UK are completely fabricated and malicious slander. So basically, at the time, oh, that's bull. This is all nothing to see here. On Monday, Chinese President Xi Jinping began a tour of Europe. Although he was not sent to visit the UK, he spent the day in Paris, where he met French President Emmanuel Macron. Remember, we talked about that yesterday and how they basically showed their ass to him. Upon his arrival, the group of 7 French lawmakers targeted by cyber attacks attributed to Chinese hackers called for a judicial investigation by authorities. They want France to formally attribute the attack to APT31, the same company sanctioned by Britain in March. Oh no, it's not. There's nothing nefarious going on here. Nothing to see. Unlike the US, UK, and New Zealand, which have formally accused China for several cyber attacks, French authorities have have shied away from accusing Beijing. Now, why would they do that? I mean, come on. Why would they do that? Because they wear brand pants. Star, good to see you, Star. We were literally just talking about Canadians 15 minutes ago and how that new law is going to make you all go to prison because you said something that was wrong. It's ridiculous. Jordan says, I have two theories. The Chinese are looking for citizens on the payroll, or they are looking for broke people to exploit. I'm going to go ahead and go yes and yes, because that's the way this whole process works. They're not looking for anything specific. They're looking to target anything and everything. This is called the everything war. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, this is going to be good. Let's see here. Do me a favor, guys. If you could, do me a favor, type the number 1 into the chat, whichever platform you were on. It will help to draw people in. It's the simplest thing that I can ask you to do. Let's see here. And if you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, I cannot tell how many there are. But if you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, please do so now. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe. It does help. So the next one we're going to talk about is TikTok versus Uncle Sam is officially happening. So we've talked about TikTok, the lawsuit. We're talking about the government and so on and so forth, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. But so TikTok has used a 66-page legal complaint instead of what they call a diss tracks to escalate its beef with the U.S. government. The app responsible for your embarrassing screen time totals sued the U.S. yesterday over a law that forces it to be sold to a non-Chinese company to avoid a ban. The bipartisan measure signed by President Biden last month gives TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, up to 12 months to seal the deal before it gets blocked in the U.S. In its legal challenge, TikTok called the law unprecedented and unconstitutional. Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Arguing that it infringes on Americans' right to free speech under the First Amendment. They're going to lose that. TikTok rebuttal bars. If you, I guess they didn't know what that. They come to the bar. The lawyers come to the bar and they talk. TikTok claims a ban would deprive its 170 million U.S. users of a way to consume and transmit hot takes from Kim Kardashian's Met Gala corset information. I like this writer. It maintains that the government presented no concrete evidence that the app is a threat to national security. That's a freaking lie. Besides, TikTok says selling the company is impossible. Let's see why. The app, under new owners, would not be commercially viable if Americans were cut off from the global content that makes TikTok what it is. So they're literally saying that only that American citizens who consume TikTok information is what keeps TikTok running. Oh, that's nice to know. But if it was sold to an American company, then Americans would still use it. Thus, it would still be viable. I think the Chinese need to get out of this while they can, get their $170 billion or whatever it is they think you're going to get for TikTok, and then move on. But they also state it's unrealistic to transfer the source code to new owners in such a short time. And China wouldn't, excuse me. Oh, here it is. Here it comes. Oh, yeah, first show of the day. And China likely wouldn't permit the secret algorithm to change hands due to export ban, their own export bans. That's we can't give it to you, or we have an export ban on our own exports. And yeah, it's like punching yourself in the face over and over. There's nothing good is going to come from it. All right, so legal wonks expect the U.S. to argue that its actions are legitimate due to concerns over China using TikTok to steal Americans' data or push propaganda. And it says that this is no petty squabble. TikTok already scored legal victories against the Trump administration and the state of Montana over attempts to ban it, but this might be the strongest case against TikTok yet. And given the high stakes, it'll probably end up in the Supreme Court. Looking ahead, experts say the lawsuit could delay any final decision on the app's stateside future until at least 2026. Well, isn't that special? You know, that's like starting fires and then like let's burn an ember in the forest and then walk away from it because, you know, Yeah, that's the smart. That's how we do things. That's the best way to do things. I'm going to go ahead and check the chat. I don't think anybody's not able to be sold. I got $1 for them. Exactly. Yeah, I got $1 for that. All right. So moving on to the next thing. And before we do that, let's talk about the my next sponsor of Prepper Camp. If you guys don't have your tickets, you might want to buy them, because guess what? Two more tickets got sold yesterday, guys. This is not a small event. It's the way we're controlling it is actually super, super neat. And one day I'm going to tell you how we did it, but today is not that day. Right now, I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors. They're called Pro Camp Tech, and not a lot of people have heard of them, but I'm here to tell you guys. I'm going to say this a couple of times so you can get it in your head. If you're one of those guys that buys fire starters, and a fire starter is just like a little combustible item that you use to start and maintain your fire, your campfire. I mean, you've seen me make the fireballs, and I love my fireballs, but I tell you what, guys, Pro Camp Tech, in my opinion, is the best fire starting tinder on the planet. It's lower in price, but still delivers more bang for the buck than the other fire starters that I've used. Simply put, it's the most reliable fire tinder on the planet. It's versatile, it's dependable in all weather conditions. And you can use it with the flint spark, ferro rods, lighters, etc. And now, because they're supporting Prep Stock, we've talked them into giving us a Prep Stock code where you can save 15% on your purchase. Prep Stock makes absolutely no money from it. It's literally just a way of giving back to you as the viewers, and hopefully the prep people go into Prep Stock too. We want to give you guys the opportunity to buy something that's even cheaper now that you have that Prep Stock code. And there's a link in the description. So you're adults, spend your money wisely. It's summertime. We do a lot of camping, and this fire starter they have so many different types of it. If you like the powdered fire starter, they've got that. If you like the roll fire starter, we used to get the gum in the rolls. It's like that, but it's actually made a fire starter. Don't eat it. I don't recommend you eat it. It's not good. They've got that. They've got their fire stick. You can just like cut it and you got fire. It's pretty freaking amazing stuff, guys. So do me a favor, go off to Pro Camp Tech and save 15%. Not a joke. Link in the description. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump on over to the next one. And I've got 5 comments I need to talk about real quick here. Let's see here. My torch is the best fire starter. We're in 2024. I'm not rubbing sticks together to start a fire. I know, right? Listen, Window Liquor. Listen, when I first learned about survival fire starting, I was in the military. I was in jungle warfare training, and that was the one thing that they taught us to do was start fires. They taught us how to do it with sticks, and they taught us a lot of different ways of doing it. And the first thing that they showed us was a lighter, and they said, you guys can use this to start your fires while you're here as soon as you learn how to start fire with those 2 twigs. Yeah, they taught us about all the fancy tricks, the steel wool and 9-volt batteries. I mean, you name it, they taught us all that stuff. But you got to start someplace. I personally like starting lighters with with a lighter. Or starting fires with a lighter, because that's the logical thing to do. And you can get 5 damn lighters for like $1.25 at the dollar, or the $1.25 going up to $1.50 tree store. Let's see here. Timito Lapinga says, this is actually awesome fire starter. I'm telling you, I love the tubes. I didn't want to over present because that's not what this stream is about. But they make these tubes. They're about this big, right? They weigh almost nothing, and you literally just take your knife and like cut like a half an inch off of it and drop it and put a spark to it, flames, and putting twigs and brush and bird nest and all that other stuff on it. It's free. It's awesome gear. It's awful. And here's gasoline. Yeah, gasoline's great, dude. Just don't drink it, okay? I mean, you're a little weird. Just don't drink it. It's not good for you. But the interesting thing is that when you look at the cost of this particular product, even without the 15% savings, versus the cost of their competitors, it's a game changer. It's a true game changer. You're probably going to say they're probably anywhere from 5 to 15% cheaper than the stuff that their competitors are making, and the product is actually better. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's see. Gibbsy says there's nothing worse than being wet and cold and not being able to start a fire. Yeah, I can think of things a lot worse than that, but I don't worry about it because I've got me some fire starter. Window Liquor says by next year with inflation, it will be $10. It will be the $10 store. Very possible. Very possible. If you guys didn't know this, both Dollar Tree and Dollar General are under the same company now. You're going to actually start seeing them pop up everywhere. So you'll walk into what you think is a Dollar Tree and they'll be asking you for $3 for a bottle of water. Don't fall for it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next story. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. My throat is feeling a little bit better. This one I want you guys to take with a grain of salt. I'm going to say that the headline of this video, and then I want you to tell me if you agree. If you agree, I want you to type the letter A. If you disagree, I want you to type the letter B. The headline of this next article is 41% of Americans think civil war likely by 2029. Some say sooner amid chaos. So once again, if you agree with the title of this article and that percentage that was just given out, type the letter A. No, it doesn't have to be capital. Or if you disagree, type the letter B. I'll wait. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And I'm going to answer West Virginia Pappy's question here. Do you have Cool Cole showed up. What's up, bro? Do you have additional campgrounds listed on Prep Stock page? Yes, I do. There's an entire page dedicated. There's a link inside the page that's entirely dedicated to the other campsites in the area. Right on the other side of, so there's a lake, and then on the south is where we are. And then there's a little campsite that's right there that is probably sold out. We told you this would happen. Then on the north side of the lake is another, this is also state park. And there are oodles of campsites up there. Unbelievable. Check that out. You'll see what I'm talking about. And there's oodles and oodles and oodles. Okay, so I don't see any B's, so we will move on. Hopefully that answered your question, West Virginia Pappy. Let's see here. So Americans have been stunned by the Democratic mega donors funneling money into Marxist groups, sparking mass chaos across colleges and universities nationwide as a risk of mounting that BLM-style riots could spill over into city streets this summer. Guys, I would count on it. And what we're seeing right now with the police acting as quickly as they are, with the colleges acting the way they are, that they're not going to tolerate that. They're going to be like, hey, here's your free speech. You have the right to assemble. But you know what? Now you just spray painted a statue and we're done. And we're seeing that. So hopefully those people on the left are going like, shit, it's not going to work this year. But that doesn't mean they won't come up with some other crafty way to pull these games, to play these silly reindeer games. So continuing on. Law-abiding Americans have taken notice of radical left-wing policies pushing this nation further into chaos, from failed progressive cities ignoring law and order to open borders, igniting the greatest illegal aliens invasion this nation has ever seen. There is a growing sense among the population that possibly a controlled demolition of our country is underway by the radical left. I would agree. The spark that could ignite the next round of social unrest is possibly Marxist useful idiots, some of which are professional and paid protesters on school campuses who quite literally have said they want a revolution to usher in a socialist reconstruction of America. Yeah. Americans are closely watching these developments on their smartphones, tablets, and smart TVs, and have taken note to the possibility of summer riots, pushing the nation closer and closer to what some voters believe is a civil war on the horizon. Here we go. Meat and potatoes time. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. A new survey, you know what? I'll just put you right there because I'm going to drink you. A new survey by Rasmussen Reports found that 41% of Americans are concerned a civil war could erupt sometime over the next 5 years, including 16% who say civil war is very likely in that same time frame. Meanwhile, 49% of respondents do not believe another civil war is likely in the next 5 years, with 20% expressing that it is not likely at all. We know which way those people lean. An additional 10% are uncertain about the future. The possibility that America could face another civil war soon is not too far-fetched for a lot of voters, the pollsters said about the survey. As America braces for more chaos, radical leftist non-governmental organizations are artificially driving the nation into turmoil. The FBI's silence on this matter raises questions, with some suggesting their priorities may lie elsewhere, such as targeting President Biden's political adversaries ahead of the presidential elections in November. Guys, there's some deep thoughts there. If you think that what I just read to you is plausible this year, I want you to type one in the chat, because I'm kind of curious if you guys think that we're like so close that we can smell it. If you do not think it's plausible for this year, type a 2 in the chat. Thank you very much. And while I wait for those numbers to come in, Window Liquor says colleges are a cesspool of ignorance and indoctrination. Absolutely true. 100% true. I hate to group in every college when you say colleges as a whole. I hate to group them all in together, but the truth is that there are good ones that don't play this game, that don't allow the stupidity. But if you don't think that the Marxist agenda is not trying to infiltrate these colleges, get on their campuses, scream First Amendment, and then, like I was saying before, then we're not eating until you change the rules here. And then 5 minutes later tell you that they're hungry and bring us pizza, or we're going to make a YouTube video. Cool Colt says 1-2 pending election outcome. That's why I worded it like that, Cool Colt. I worded it exactly like that because, was it yesterday? Yesterday morning, President Trump said that he's not going to accept, if he loses, he's not going to accept the outcome of the vote or the outcome of the election. He won't accept it. And this is scaring the crap out of the left. So they're all going to scream about civil war. And then El Presidente was freaking on the news saying, yes, we know he's not going to accept it. Well, so the battle lines have been drawn. And this is a problem. This is something that hopefully people will not have to go through, but it looks like they're going to. So, if you're thinking as a prepper, it's water, food, and security. If you're thinking as somebody who may have to do something that they don't want to do, that whole, bad men and good times and that kind of thing analogy, beans, bullets, bandages, bad guys. So yeah, it's all about how you think. Why is my phone making all sorts of racket? Somebody loves something I posted. Yay! Let's see here. Just way too many issues at play. C. Bruno, welcome to the channel. Says, I'd say first civil unrest this year, CW next year, after economic collapse this year. Everybody's looking for this spark, this that starts the fire, that burns it all down. They're really looking for that. But the thing is, that's not how it works. It's incremental. It's this over and over and over and over. It's like, they've already got, Biden is already saying that the economy is the strongest thing on the planet. It's the best that's ever been before. But everybody knows he's lying through his teeth because gas is way too expensive, which should never be your metric for deciding whether you hate your government or not. But, food is on average 30 to 40% higher under his administration. And this didn't happen because of that thing we can't talk about. That's not why this happened. This happened because they changed a lot of stuff when they came in. They just basically came in and started ripping the guts out of stuff. And then they quit enforcing laws that are on the books and basically nullifying these laws. That allowed for this to happen. So shame on you, Joe. Shame on you. Let's see here. FF attacks on Black Swan event is more likely than a civil war. Well, we don't. What's an FF attack? I mean, come on. Use your words, Window Licker. Use your words. Let's see. Hicktown Honey says, I got to move this over. Hicktown Honey says, ADHD got the best of me and did some homework. I'm back. Gotcha. The government wants lawlessness order out of chaos. The government wants lawlessness order out of chaos. Those words, that's not a sentence, Window Licker. That's not a sentence. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next thing. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I keep putting it over there. I just need to keep it like right here in front of me. All right, so this one's going to be a little tricky to navigate, but this is some stuff. False flag. It's a naughty word. False flag. False flag. False flag. False. Everybody type false flag in the chat. Do it now. Let's break this algorithm. I mean, come on. What are they going to do? They're going to take a video down? I mean, come on. False flag. False flag. False flag. False flag. False flag. Type it. I'm going to start reading this while you type that. All right, let's see here. But thank you for looking out for me, Window Licker. I appreciate it. Okay, so RFK warns that the WHO is on the verge of passing its pandemic treaty. We spoke about this yesterday, but there's some things that are being said now that that you need to hear. You need to hear. So, and I've actually cut a lot of this article out because it really was detailed. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has largely spent the last few months shattering the hope that he presents a viable alternative to the current political establishment. From selecting big tech starlet Nicole Shenanana as his running mate to his utter sycophancy for the state of Israel, it has become clear the premise that an RFK presidency would be a paradigm shift is nothing short of illusionary. So as you can tell, the person who wrote this article doesn't really like him. But anyway, yet he has remained steadfast in his sole facet of his platform, which does challenge the existing order. RFK's opposition to the medical technocracy behind the pandemic and the consequential large-scale human experiment that was the development and distribution of Pfizer and Moderna's mRNA vaccines stands as the only thing somewhat distinguishing him from the opponents in the 2024 election. I guess I could say recall. While Biden and Trump have taken to the campaign trail, boasting about their support for those vaccines helped each of them beat the pandemic, RFK is singing a completely different tune by warning voters for the upcoming WHO pandemic treaty. If passed, the treaty would put Americans under the yoke of medical tyranny in a manner much more oppressive than 2020. Given the absurdity of the dystopian nightmare that the treaty is, it's been thrust into the realm of disbelief. So much so that Reuters itself even had to fact check the claims circulating that the WHO abandoned its efforts to pass the treaty, which is ironic considering its own fact checkers stated that the WHO was planning no such treaty less than 2 years ago. The idea that a treaty like that being pursued by the WHO, which supersedes national sovereignty in determining a pandemic response effort, sounds like something liberal NPCs would label as a conspiratorial fever dream that would wake Alex Jones up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night. However, like much of what Jones had forewarned of going into and in the early 2020s, the globalist takeover that the WHO pandemic treaty represents is very real. According to Fadela Shiab, the WHO is set to complete the latest draft of its pandemic treaty by May 10th. The deadline marks the conclusion of its ninth session to complete its endless mission to do so. If passed, the treaty would revise the existing international health regulations that the WHO's 194 member states have already adopted. According to the draft of the treaty, most recent made available on April 22nd, the new AIHR would give the WHO, man, there's a lot of acronyms in here, authority to direct and coordinate the pandemic response measures of nations across the globe signatory to it. So if they signed on, you're saying we get control. If the WHO achieves its aims, then the treaty would be adopted by the end of the month by the World Health Assembly, the WHO's governing body. Isn't that their governing body? That's interesting. Changes to the existing IHR have belabored efforts to pass the pandemic treaty over the years. Oh, here we go, y'all. Number 2. We're going to try that again. Changes to the existing IHR have belabored efforts to pass the pandemic treaty over the years. Over the last few years, several proposed IHR changes have been dropped from the current draft of the treaty. Previous editions of the treaty included giving the WHO power to issue binding directive, disregard considerations for human rights, act on the basis of a potential health emergency, impose digital vaccine passports, and conduct mass censorship to fight what they deem to be misinformation. Misinformation is the code word for things we don't want you to hear. The resistance to those totalitarian measures highlights the tyrannical power the treaty would vest in the WHO. That is clearly demonstrated in text remaining in the proposed treaty, which qualifies the WHO as, quote, the directing and coordinating authority on international health work, including on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response, end quote. Although some of the most egregious of the IHR changes have been nullified, many existing changes still pose a similar threat. The IHR changes that remain in the treaty include giving the WHO Director General sole power to declare a pandemic emergency across member states. Means if you're a signatory, which means you signed, then you gave him this power. Early intervention to preempt pandemics from occurring, increased surveillance to monitoring emerging pathogens, and efforts to increase censorship similar to those which were removed from previous drafts of the treaty. Misinformation. The U.S. would also be required to relinquish 20% of its medical supplies to the WHO for global distribution. Now we know what this is all about. That facet of the treaty is emblematic of the stated goal to redistribute resources from richer nations to poorer ones. The latest attempt to pass the WHO pandemic treaty coincided with the 2024 presidential election, adds an increased sense of urgency given the re-election of Donald Trump poses the risk that the U.S. would not be signatory to future attempts to ratify it. So the pressure's on for these rats. While President Trump had been vehement in his opposition to the WHO's authority over U.S. public health responsiveness, going as far to call to defund it and have the USA withdraw from the UN's global health body, any opposition to that forthcoming pandemic treaty will carry little weight as its ratification is set to come during the time President Biden is still in office. Yes, I forgot that they moved to defund, that they stopped giving money to the WHO under Trump. Isn't that special? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that ingenious? The political vehicle ceding authority to the WHO creates a framework to amplify the authoritarian frameworks previously exceeded during 2020, like Event 201. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up, which served as a portent for the pandemic The WHO itself has already ominously foreshadowing a forthcoming iteration of another globalist takeover by forewarning the world of the dangers of disease X in an effort to conjure support for its enhanced authority over nations' public health responses. Wow. Isn't that special, guys? That's some super duper pooper scooper stuff right there. Let's see here. We're going to go to the chat real quick, and this will be your last chance to go ahead and put something in there. We've been going at this for about an hour. Mass non-compliance necessary. People need to stop licking the government boot. Absolutely true. Window liquor went crazy. It's all about health and safety while they are spraying us like cockroaches hourly from planes, poisoning our bodies, wildlife, and our lands. Geoengineering. Yeah, this is all, I believe this is all true. Socialism take from the ones who worked hard and earned to give the lazy people. Yeah, these are all true statements. Oh, you're making me tired, Window Liquor. You're making me tired, man. Okay, so it looks like the world didn't end when everybody typed false flag. And for those that did it, I appreciate that. False flag in the chat. He types the whole thing. Going to get a replay on the flag on the field. Going to need a replay on flag on the field. Annie says states should secede from the federal government. Annie, welcome to the stream. If you guys remember, we tried to do the what is it called? Somebody put it in the chat. The something of the states. It's where if you get enough states to sign on that they want to have like this council, you actually need that to change anything at the highest level of the rules of government. That thing is still alive. I went to a gun show about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and at the door there was a guy greeting me and handing me a pamphlet and wanting to know if I wanted to talk about it. What is it called? Convention of the, thank you, Bruno. Appreciate it. Convention of States. There you go. The fact that this thing is still alive means that there are still people that are thinking about it. Yes, Ian, correct. It's very difficult to do the convention of the states because you've got to get like total buy-in from a state, and you've got to have a certain percentage of them before you can even do it. And the danger is that once one of these things are turned on, that anybody can come in and start making changes. And one of the reasons that it died was because they were worried as they got close to turning it on with enough states that someone was going to show up and say, we need some new laws. We need to amend the Second Amendment. We need to change a few things in there. And they were like, whoa, put the brakes on, buddy. And so that's something that really did happen. And I think that's another reason that a lot of the states never went forward with it completely. But as far as seceding, you have to remember that there's probably a military base. There's probably federal assets in every single state. And how do you secede from a nation when you have all of those assets in your state, specifically the coastal states, specifically states that have nuclear weapons inside of them? They're part of the Defense Treaty Organization, How do you do that? I mean, obviously, you'd have to come up with some kind of treaty to allow that to continue to happen, to still fall under the protection of that large umbrella. Or maybe create like, militarized, instead of the demilitarized zone, militarized zones around those specific places. But then now you're talking about cutting off a state from their own way of importing and exporting, moving food, things like that. So it's very easy to say to do that, but it's difficult to do because of the tentacles that are all inside of the, inside of the states themselves. You know, I believe that there's a way to do it, but I think that process would be very, very convoluted. It would probably lead to, you know, the secession of a state, but really still kind of doing stuff in the federal government. But, you know, the other thing too is, guys, you know, I mean, if you're serious about stuff like that, you need to take a good hard look at how the government would not interact with your particular state in the form of government funding. Everything the federal government learned years ago, and that's why they got big. They learned years ago that federal funding drives all motives within the states. You know, it's like who's going to pay for when you kick the federal government out of your state? Who's going to pay for your kids' school lunch? Who's going to pay for the federal highways that run through your state? You know, you're like, well, the state will do that. And how will the state do that? Well, the state will be forced to raise taxes to cover those federal taxes. And if you're down with that, then you're probably golden, you know. But then money would actually have to go in other directions as well. Like the state would have to have their own state sponsored militia. You could, I don't know that you would use the term army, but I would think that militia would be something everybody would understand and be able to absorb in their minds. That's funding. That's money. That's how do you, we need money to protect ourselves, you know, protect ourselves from who? From the federal government? Maybe, I doubt it, but protect ourselves from the other states. You know, and now you need to have treaty agreements with the other states, or maybe the federal government again, because the federal government is still running that particular state. You see what I'm saying? It's very convoluted. It's very dirty. It's not impossible, but all of these impracticalities could lead to a war, could lead to the federal government, you know, kind of going and saying, no, posse comitata, but, oh, by the way, it's an emergency now because Texas doesn't want to be part of America anymore, and we just can't have that shit. So, let's see here. Cool Colt just said, we need a convention of, West Virginia probably says we need a convention of states for term limits bypassing Congress. Absolutely. But once again, once you turn a convention of states on, the danger is that people could bring up talking points that would lead to the erosion of citizens' rights. Cool Quote says leased lands to government and companies would generate income for those independent states. If you're right, that's awesome thinking, Cool Quote. But I also think that if you're going to kick them out, you need to kick them out. You know what I'm saying? And we could play the least. They're still going to send you money, but maybe they say, well, we're just going to keep the land. And, once again, we're back at, pokey things going at each other. Let's see. Maynard says, Maynard, don't recognize you. Welcome to the stream. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. That's how we got the Erie Canal. There you go. Window Looker says gas tax pays for the roads. If we didn't have the bloated federal government, we can afford to build and maintain our infrastructure more efficiently. I think there's a lot of truth to that. But once again, we'd have to create, the state governments would have to increase in size and create more government, which is what we don't want, but it still could be a good thing. It would also create these governors, which would have more power, and that could be dangerous. Specifically, if you had a state that seceded and it was a red state, and then enough lefties came in and brought their voting habits with them, and it became a blue state, and now you have a blue country that, oh, by the way, we really need more. Well, you know what, federal government, we want to come back. You see what I'm saying? So it's a very dangerous prospect. So, okay, let's see here. Cool Coach says federal tax on wages would be the quicker could say said new state pay claim to those Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just saying. You could literally just say that this is that tax, but it would just be going to the state. No changes, guys. We're just not giving the federal government any more money. You know, it could be that as well. It could be that as well. Okay, guys, we've been going at this for over an hour. I am out of things to talk to. I appreciate you guys interacting on the chat. I think that's really going to be about it. Also, if you guys don't have your prep stock tickets, I recommend you get them. I've been telling you. It's like you're not listening. Some of you are. But and I know some of you can't make it. It's completely understandable. Thank you, Laser, for that final false flag. All right. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call it now, guys. As usual, stay safe. Have a great day. And I'll see you when I see you. If you like what I'm doing, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Also, there's some links down below that keep this thing going. So check those guys out. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.